The Las Vegas gunman's brother speaks again for it looks like 30 minutes. We're not watching this verbatim. If I see things that are interesting, I'll comment on those. I do question why a second interview. Sometimes silence is golden. And this is definitely one of those times where you've said your piece. The rest of it is goldenly silence. Let's get started.
The brother of the Las Vegas shooter, Stephen Paddock, spoke to reporters just...
Now I'm looking at him right here. Everything's fine. He's not looking too stressed. He's not crying. He does have his hand on his head. And he's starting to look like one of those people that has to have his hands moving or has to have them doing something. He just doesn't like them by his side.
Just moments ago in Orlando, a word of caution. We understand there is some adult language being used here. Let's listen in.
Now we're hearing sniffling, that constant sniffling. Shake of the head.
Someone texted me. The first thing is thank you. Whoever texted me my truck.
He keeps sniffling. He doesn't lift his head to stop the tear flow to get the excess mucus to go down the back of the throat. So he's not really trying to hide it. I'm not really hearing mucus build up either.
Someone texted me, I don't know who, Reuters or somebody texted me, thank you, that with an update that
We did see some red eyes. Let's see how this goes.
I didn't have because I took my mom to the doctor.
How's your mom
Supposedly Steve, I'm sorry?
How's your mom doing?
She's okay. I mean, do you want that kind of background real quick about my mom? I mean, my mom was born in the Depression. She's had a tough life. Her husband wasn't.
Okay, well, I don't want to sit there and go as he talks about his mom, because that's a different emotional mindset. It's separate from the brother mindset on how he feels. So he can maybe bring tears for his mom, but he may not be able to bring them for his brother. But that whole sniffle thing in the beginning, it kind of reminded me of Robbie Parker working up his emotion. I think at this point, either it's fake because we're at the beginning of this video, his emotional tirade we're about to see, or in a little bit we have seen, or the more likely, he feels obligated to show some kind of emotion for his own self-preservation in media. Best policy, sir, if this ever gets to you, just be yourself. Always be yourself.
Okay, now the other thing is someone said that that Steve transferred $100,000. Woo, $100,000. We're wealthy people. $100,000 isn't that much money, A, and I'm sorry if that hurts people or something, but $100,000 isn't that huge amount of money.
Well, we see how quickly the tears cleared up. $100,000 isn't that much money. They're wealthy people. And that's actually a really good point. $100,000 isn't that much money. But it also gives an idea into their mindset of their disconnect of how much money that is to everyone else besides themselves. Their mental disconnect.
He gambled that much through a machine in hours. I mean, once again, you need to understand. That's what people need to understand, the level where some people live. I guess everybody thinks that everybody works at Taco Bell or something. Everybody doesn't work at Taco Bell. There's wealthy people who do this. If you're going to condemn Steve for being a high-stakes gambler, the hotels are not going to be very happy with you. Go find everybody and interview them who has a card. If you're going to call Steve crazy for gambling the way he gambles, go find everybody at the hotels who has...
Ooh, this is a hard defense of his brother. And this is where his body sings with him so well. I said something at the very, very end of the video. The last one that I did with him. I said it after my little goodbye that I normally do. And I think it plays in and is going to come out as very true here.
So have the hotels tell you, everybody who's got a gold, he's got the highest level of membership card at a lot of these hotels. If these hotels say they don't know Steve, they're lying.
But would that transfer indicate some sort of forethought, you think, maybe? Or was that, did he routinely send her money of the...
My mom? Or Marianne? Mary Lou? I'm sorry. Okay. Steve took care of the people he loved. He helped make me and my family wealthy. I mean, he's the reason I was able to retire 3 years ago when I got really burnt out doing the job I did. I mean, this is the Steve we know, we knew. He's the people he loved, he took care of. He didn't have a lot of friends. You know, he was a
This is actually a much better interview than he did the first time where he was trying to distance himself. This one, he's actually owning it. His brother was a good man. His brother took care of him. His brother took care of his mom. His brother gave people money and took care of the people that he loved. Now that we've gotten to the real meat of how he actually feels about his brother, which is not negative in the slightest, I am not going to, well, for you, you'll see the next spot we go to is another nugget. You're not going to watch this verbatim with me.
If you don't have your card in the machine, you don't get your comps.
But still no clue as to why he would do something like that.
Now, I see them. He keeps doing it. He holds his hand up to each reporter that starts talking to them. He's putting up a barrier between him and these reporters. Unlike the last interview where he was not putting up that barrier to them, now he sees them more as frenemies.
Steve did anything he wanted to do whenever he wanted to do it. He was an independently wealthy, no ties attached guy. If he wanted to get on a plane and go to Japan and have sushi tomorrow, he did that. Now, he probably tried to get the casino to pay for it by saying he was going to go to a casino there or something, but this will all come out when if the casinos aren't lying. They comp him, I mean, he got lots of money in comps. To have him gamble with them, they would comp him for lots, okay? So the $100,000 for Mary Lou, and it's what I sent back, I mean, I'll just try to...
He keeps talking about these darn casinos. If the casinos aren't lying, well, there's your first clue. The logical reason would be the casinos don't want to admit they had a very good relationship with the gunman. That he spent lots of money there and they did him a lot of favors because he lost a lot of money to them. That would not be good PR for any of those casinos, which would explain why they would be lying. He did very good things. He spent lots and lots of money. He lost lots and lots of money, and they gave him lots and lots of favors. That is the only conspiracy angle you can put on that.
To say what I said before. That's the Steve I know. That's something that makes sense. Steve would have wanted to take care of Mary Lou. Now, this is I may be wrong for the day because I haven't talked to Mary Lou. We're not going to chase her. I mean, when she wants, if and when she wants to talk to us, we're here. But, I mean, I don't know what the situation is because maybe Steve wouldn't have told me if they broke up because that's just the kind of, and for Steve, breaking up is a fungible thing because he still knows and hangs out with occasionally and talks to and, you know, that kind of stuff, his previous relationship people. There's no...
Okay, that was the other theory that could have been floating in there. His mentality that he snapped because Mary Lou dumped him. He's got a side girl. He's not snapping.
I mean, it's not like he hates him when he breaks up with him kind of thing. I mean, from the experience.
Eric, given what you know about your brother, what are the types of clues that you think will reveal?
Oh my goodness, he's shaking. He's shaking hardcore. Yeah, I still stick by the reason and why the crying was fake in the beginning. He was trying to show some kind of emotion, one, because of the backlash of not really showing anything but the weirdness yesterday. But again, sir, if you ever hear this broadcast, always be yourself.
And a bunch of the hotels, not any hotel, but many of the hotels, he walks in and says, give me a room. They give him a room for a week.
Do you feel manipulated? Do you feel by Steve? Do you feel
Not in any way, shape, or form, because once again, the Steve I knew.
Yeah.
Here, okay, Steve's manipulation. It was fun to hang out with Steve because he was a rich...
That was weird. Let's go back and look at that.
By Steve?
Did you feel manipulated by Steve? And he's taken it back. Like, he would be manipulated by Steve, okay? Then the next weird thing.
Do you feel
Not in any way, shape, or form, because once again, the Steve I knew.
And he does that. That must be an inside family understanding. I want to see that one more time.
Not in any way, shape, or form, because once again, the Steve I knew.
Yeah.
Here, okay, Steve's manipulation. It was fun to hang out with Steve because he was a rich guy who hung out in the hotels. He manipulated her to be completely as far away from this and safe when he did this. Because maybe if he wanted...
See, I told you yesterday he knew something, that he was not surprised about his brother. Oh, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
He wanted to make sure she had money. She wanted to make sure the same exact thing, the first thing that came to my mind was that she didn't get shot because she was walking through the hotel when the cops came in and her picture started flashing or something. Steve had no help. Steve didn't take help. It did not take a village for Steve. Steve was an I'm sorry. Please don't. I'm using a colloquial, I was about to use a colloquial term that would besmudge one of the armed forces. Steve was a standalone guy. Okay? Steve, if you wanted to hang out with Steve, you hung out with Steve, but you had to understand Steve was a little quirky. Here's the story. Here's how Steve is. I would go, when I was flying or whatever, if he was in...
I've been watching him. In this interview, his whole body is singing with him. He's much more relaxed than he was yesterday. And him now describing Steve, standalone guy, is what he says. If you wanted to be there, you had to understand he was quirky. I don't think Steve had a lack of friends or people that would help him. I do think they were not going to participate in murdering people.
If you're gonna call him crazy, if we were gonna call him crazy because he's an angry person, then you had better call everybody on the news from 4 o'clock to 12 o'clock at night a crazy person. Okay? That's the end of the day. Was he an angel?
Everyone, the news, from 4 o'clock to whatever time, because I've already forgotten it, they're all crazy. That's mainstream media. There's your window into this man's mind. MSM. Was he radicalized, FBI? Why, yes, he was, FBI. He was left radicalized. Donald Trump is the enemy, and all who have voted for him are the deplorable nation that must be smited from this earth. They shall rule the day. They went and honky-tonk and stomped it up at a country music concert. And that whole family is with him. He's been defending him, defending him, defending him. Was he radicalized, and did they know that this was probably a possibility? Yes! Watch out, honky-tonks. The left is coming, and they're bringing Looney with them.
Of course he wasn't an angel. Did he about people who annoyed the crap out of him? Of course he did. Well,
But I'm not talking about that. I mean, I
find me anything, anywhere. People who have no reason to tell you that he was a nice guy. People who used to pay him rent. I mean, the story about our apartments that we have. The guy says, "Oh, and by the way, the place sucked when we bought it. We fixed it up and made a nice place for these people to live." And Steve gave them cheap rent because we wanted happy people, nice people in our apartments. He said, yeah, he had a quirky sense of humor. Well, what the hell is a quirky sense of humor? People watch movies where they butcher little kids. What the hell are you? This is why everybody, and here's my...
In all fairness, they seem like really nice people. Fix it up, rent's a little cheaper, make it nicer. Very democratic mentality. And I'm talking about leftist. Left of center. Probably not even that far left. But those people are usually very emotional, easily swayed in a belief system. And here they are radicalized. Yeah, they were radicalized by the media. And he's really just giving you more and more evidence of how they were into the belief system of the left. They were believing mainstream media. And I'll give you a perfect example. It's great too. War of the Worlds. Most of you will not remember that show that was played on. I don't remember the guy who read it out. But way back when radio was the thing and it wasn't TV, they read this out. And people literally believe that aliens had invaded Earth and that the army, the military was fighting aliens. People were hiding in their cellars, got their shotguns out. The war of the world has started and it was against aliens. And people believed it because it was on the mainstream radio at the time. Now, those people who are actually not that far left, who you would normally get along with, War of the Worlds played on them and they're believing it.
My diatribe for the day. This is what everybody's so scared about right now. When Steve can do this, we are in deep shit. Because there's just nothing there. You find me where someone who's like Steve does this, I hope the hell they find, when they do the autopsy, that there's a tumor in his head or something. Because if they don't, we're all in trouble. Because Steve was just, Steve's dead. You can't say anything bad about him anymore because who cares? Say whatever you want about him. It's not going to hurt me. Something horrible happened.
He just pushed a leftist gun confiscation or gun laws or whatever you want to call it, whatever they feel like words to put into it. Well, I wasn't going to chat this much during this whole thing, and it's probably going to be chopped to hell and back, but...
Here's Eric Paddock. I was the youngest son. I grew up with a single mom. Steve was like the dad surrogate. He took me camping. I had a tough time. I did dumb stuff when I was a teenager. Okay?
And we saw some real emotion there about his brother. I don't like tooting my own horn, but yeah, I was right. I feel bad for the guy because this is truly an emotional event for him. And it's an emotional event for all those families that lost their loved ones because of his brother. But I will not reward evil behavior.
I have no criminal record or any of that stuff because I'm smarter than the average bear. And I knew to hang out with people who were dumber than I was and who would get caught faster. Okay? Bottom line. That's how it works. No, but for all the rest of the people, once again, please.
What you say to the families of the victims who are trying to understand, to get insight.
Think about Steve. However you have to think about Steve. Here's my statement.
That's telling in itself. He thought about it for a second and he stood up. Let's see what his statement is because he's standing strong on it.
If we have to have a funeral for Steve, here's how pragmatic. This is how pragmatic I am. If having a funeral for Steve and letting all these people come and spit on his grave will make them feel better in any way, shape, or form. I'm using the far end here. Come on, guys, give me a little stretch here. If having a funeral for Steve would help anybody, I will do whatever is possible. My heart...
Oh, I do not like where this is going. I don't like where that is going at all. A funeral for Steve. Is anybody else having thoughts of this is a bad idea? By the end of this, he is going to be a martyr. And to have a funeral for a martyr never goes well. Do you understand? That never goes well. We don't want a funeral for Steve. Yes, just let your mom have his ashes. Go have a private family event.
My heart is torn, is destroyed for all these people. But I can't tell you why Steve did what he did. It's so far over the side of the cliff.
You know, his body quit singing with him. He's going stiff, but he's in portrayal. Oh, sir, you know exactly.
From Steve that I knew. Did he grouse about people? Yes. If you went into,
And then we're back to singing body.
The fact that he took care of Mary Lou and then killed all these people, there's just no connection there for me. I don't understand how Steve got to that point. That's why, once again, and maybe we'll never know. I don't know. But I'm praying.
I do not believe that. I think he knows very well. Every time he goes into that, he goes stiff and he goes straight portrayal. It's like that information that you don't want to confront in your own mind or that you feel will incriminate you.
You know, the pictures what you're hearing from the feds is more than they're telling me. Because, of course, they don't want to tell me anything because in case I'm lying to them or something.
What do you think of him making...
In case I'm lying to him or something. Let's look at that again.
Me anything. So, you know, the pictures what you're hearing from the feds is more than they're telling me. Because, of course, they don't want to tell me anything because in case I'm lying to them or something.
In case I'm lying to him or something. I roll, smile. I think you're lying to him. I think you have a piece of information that you're not giving up. Oh, that doesn't mean for all of you to sit there and go bash him down and come create some kind of weird thing. There's just something that he knows that he's not giving up.
I think of him making that purchase.
That he bought the stuff to make it automatic? Well, of course. He probably... Again, do you want to understand Steve?
Yeah, that's where we're all
Okay, here. Steve bought those bump stock things. Were they attached to guns when they found them?
All I know is they were.
Do you see that? Where they attached to guns when you found them? I would really like to see how those reporters respond to him and then how he reacts. Because right there says he knew, he saw, hey FBI. Yeah, he's lying.
Okay? Find out if they were attached to guns. He may have had them in the bag because he tried them and didn't like them. Have any of you ever fired an automatic?
There you go. Oh my goodness. This is like a really good detective story. This is so exciting to do. This is really exciting.
Weapon? It's not fun. You can go do it for, you give them some money and they'll let you go shoot a machine gun in Las Vegas. Okay? It's not fun. I mean, you have to be a little weird because it beats the crap out of you. And Steve was beat up and a little, he had his knees.
Okay, now I have to actually question that mentality. Has anybody ever fired an automatic weapon? It beats the crap out of you. For those of you who don't know, I am a gun owner. So when he says things like this, it kind of irritates me. One, you're not holding the gun right, sir. You're supposed to hug it, not hold it away from yourself. It will beat the crap out of you. Or again, he's giving some kind of defense to his brother. Well, let's go back. I want to see this again.
Yeah. And Steve was beat up and a little, he had his knees were sore and he'd fallen in the casino and his leg hurt and all this stuff. So
I thought you didn't know what happened to him in the last month, sir. Please elaborate on all these injuries and beaten up from automatic weapons and bump stocks that were in a bag. Please elaborate.
He wasn't going to hold, they say, how did Steve get the stuff up to the room? Steve didn't get the stuff up to the room. He gave a kid $100 and the kid brought it up on a little gold trolley.
How do you know, sir?
Anything up to the room?
How do you know, sir? You haven't seen him in a month. Please explain yourself, because now it's not even about your body language. Your own words are starting to betray you.
Okay? And if the pictures show up showing me wrong there, then it's...
Aw, wait a minute. What's going on? Are we adding information in to shed light somewhere else?
I'll be a little surprised, because Steve didn't carry stuff.
Did you boys grow up around guns?
Who?
You and your brother?
Not in any way, shape, or form. Until we were late teenage, did we ever... My mom's not into guns at all. Her husband went to jail for robbing banks with a machine gun. My mom is not into guns for some reason. But, Steve would have taken that silly bump stock thing, whatever it is, and tried it. But if you have to hold the gun, they're saying he had tripods. That would be exactly what Steve would do. Because you can't hold a machine gun and shoot. You're not going to, a normal person is not going to hold a machine gun and shoot 100 rounds out of it. It'd rip your shoulder off. If you've ever shot a real rifle, you don't pull the trigger on a .223 a bunch of times. I have...
Please don't listen to him for those of you who have never actually shot any of those weapons. He is lying to you. I get more kick from a shotgun. I'd actually believe it was an automatic shotgun. Yeah, that'll beat the crap out of you. I had a moment in this show that I felt a little bit of sympathy for this individual. And now, let the dogs of war reign.
I have a fake shoulder. But it's not because of guns, but I could not even shoot a .223 if I wanted to anymore. So, and I don't own one. I don't own a semi-automatic. Well, I do. I own a .22 caliber little semi-automatic rifle that I taught my children how to shoot little targets.
Well, he just gave his alibi on why he couldn't have been one of the shooters.
It's at the range with. But you don't shoot an automatic weapon. That is Steve. Steve said, this is what's so... This is why, like I said, it's the insanity of it. When Steve decided to do this, he still had his thinking brain on because he did all this stuff. He procured this.
When Steve decided to do this, he still had his thinking brain on. Please tell us, sir, how do you know this? How do you know this? Tell us. Tell us. Let's go back.
Had his thinking brain on.
He had his thinking brain on. I didn't go back far enough because I wanted to see if he went to memory.
This is why, like I said, it's the insanity of it. When Steve decided to do this, he still had his thinking brain.
Yep. Emotional memory. So you did talk to him this month. When he decided to do this, you knew. You knew. Were you one of the ones that's supposed to be in that hotel room helping him? Were you? He had all those guns. One of my patrons came up with a brilliant thing the other night, and I was like, you know what? That explains so much. To have that many guns. Why have that many guns for no reason? Why have nitrogen? Why have any of that? Obviously, there was a bigger plan in play, and it was involving others. And poor old Steve, maybe that's your guilt, Eric, bailed on him. You bailed on him. Couldn't even do the last part with him. Who else was there, Steve? Who else was supposed to be in that hotel room helping, for this whole war that's supposed to kick off? What are we supposed to do, Mandy? How are we supposed to fight these lunatics? You're supposed to get shot and not do nothing? At present time, the best solution is to push the government to take down the entities that are radicalizing these people, such as MSM. That is the best course of action at moment, because at this moment, that action will win.
On, because he did all this stuff. He procured this stuff. He would get a tripod to put the damn gun on, because then you can easily fire the gun. That makes sense. These are just logical things. This is no great leap.
Do you have his relationship with Mary Lou, like where they met, what they were like together?
He met her. She was the host. Someone refreshed my memory. She was a hostess at the Atlantis. Steve was a big fish at the Atlantis in Reno.
Together?
They were adorable. Steve's this big, she's this tiny thing. He loved her. He doted on her. It's like I said, but you're not gonna. Maybe she has pictures of this. Maybe her side of the family or the kids took pictures.
I saw that from the reporter. And go back. That smile you see right there from the man holding the 35 microphone. He's already gaining the empathy of this audience right here, which is helping him, which means he's going to gain the empathy of the audience for those who watch this interview. For Steve, the mass murderer. Well, there you have it. I'm sorry this one's so long, but he did do a lot of things. And towards the end, it was like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I tell you what. If you had an idea, well, here you go, people. That massacre was supposed to be a lot bigger, and it was supposed to have a lot more people involved. And for whatever reason, those that were supposed to help didn't. Whatever bomb they was going to make didn't happen. And the next question you got to ask yourself, well, what were they going to bomb? Because I don't know how much material they had for that to begin with. So it's anybody's guess. If you like it, leave a like. If you like the content, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.